Hey, welcome to this Tarkir Dragonstorm draft review. I say review because I actually played this draft, didn't live record myself, but I wanted to go back over it because I thought it was quite fun and interesting. Having played 20 or so drafts now, the format does seem to be leaning to extremes where you either want to be a hyper aggressive deck or a very greedy deck, and if you're kind of in the middle, it can be a little bit awkward. I think I'm seeing a lot more greedy stuff than I am aggressive stuff on the ladder, even if both are viable. So starting the draft off here, I am kind of between Skimmer, Forecaster, maybe the land, but not much else is really doing it for me. I don't think United Battlefront's particularly playable. Skimmer is a card with a higher win rate, but Forecaster is extremely good in these more greedy decks, and I've not gotten together a viable 5-color deck yet, and I'm kind of sick of losing to all these greedy decks, and I want to be the one being greedy for once. So I kind of haver between these two. In the end, I settle with the Forecaster. Out of this pack, Exhale is looking good. Again, the land is fine. I don't really rate Effortless Master. Hardened Tactician is okay, but it kind of wants to be a grindy draw card deck, whereas most of the aggressive decks are not really about that. Fine Cute Familiar is great. Kintry Severance also great. Opulent Palace fine. Troller's pretty good. Pack Beast is great, but not in this type of deck. Narcissist's Rebuke is also fine. But Familiar has been both great and is very powerful. Now, in this case, Dragon Sniper is a very good safe card, but I am just pushing globes. I really want to see if Forecaster can work here. Wayfarer going this late is quite surprising. It was between Wayfarer and Sage for me, less so Evolving Wilds. I don't really rate Devotees very highly. There's good white cards, but there's good aggressive white cards, but it's not what I'm looking for. I rate Wayfarer very highly, and if I'm trying to be 3, 4, 5 colors, then it fits great. Sage is a good card, but I prioritize it less. Inspirited Vanguard is a very solid card. Piercing Exhale is a great removal spell, but I'm not really planning on having a lot of cheap guys. Snakeskin Veil is also very good, but a bit more for aggressive decks. I end up going with the Exhale here because it is probably just the stronger card, and maybe I'll pick up enough cheap guys. I take Windblade Disciple there over another Wayfarer because it is an uncommon and it's gone quite late, and it is a very good card. Again, a little bit more for like tempo-y decks, but it can still make blockers and buy you time, so not sad to have it at all. This is a very late Dispelling Exhale. I would love Focus of the Mind in this deck. Dragon Claw Strike would be okay, Narcissist's Rebuke would be okay, but I really highly rate Exhale because there's so many bombs that when they come down, if they resolve, they get value, but if you can just stop them from resolving in the first place, then you can answer them happily 1 for 1. Kind of torn here between Feral and Pummeler. Pummeler's just very solid. You're just never sad to have it. The dragon can be a bit hit or miss, and although I am going for the globe plan, I would be able to make it bigger later on. I'm also not really planning on being base red. I'm planning to splash red, so Pummeler is just like the safe pick. Similar, there's not really much for us other than Whisper. Whisper's actually got a very good win rate on 17 lands. If you're ramping to these big cards, you need to be hitting your lands every turn, which means card draw is really important, as well as just hitting your fixing. It all helps. I'm really surprised to see Trollers come round again. This is a really strong card. Being able to rebuy most of your removal spells is crazy. And then I just can't believe that this other one came around. People were crazy. I don't really rate Devotee or Bellringer very highly, but they're there. So I am looking for big bombs, big multicolor bombs, and there's this Dragon Sniper. Riverwalk Technique is a very good card, but there isn't too much else that's very exciting. The Rhino doesn't actually have amazing win rate and is not really on the colors I'm going for. Yeah, this is like a double splash, but it's a strong enough card that I'm happy to take it. There's quite a few interesting things here. There's Kintry Severance, Sweep, Lion Weight, Dragon's Prey, Pummeler is fine. Part of the reason I'm looking at Lion Weight here is because it kind of loops with the Trollers, and is also a removal spell. But in the end, I kind of settle on the stronger removal spell, which is Kintry Severance. It just deals with things more cleanly. Armament Dragon, Spectral Denial, Appraiser, the land, we've got Whisper. It's quite a tough choice here. I had one counter spell already, so I went with the Appraiser just to make sure that I have enough bodies on curve and I hit my lands. And also with XL going quite late, there's a possibility I get them. That happens again. This pack here, there isn't really much interesting for me. Ice Climber seems fine. I don't rate it super highly. I've seen like limited level ups has been saying it's pretty good, but I haven't really got to play with it yet. I'm just very happy to have Wayfinder. I'm never really sad to have more of them. Resolve is also a fine removal spell, but I can get it very late usually, so I would rather go about it in this order. Speaking of getting exiles later, there's one. Wouldn't mind Pummeler as well. Not very interested in anything else. Stag is not it. Could take a land, but I've forgotten I actually took Pummeler over Exile here. I think I'm worried about not having enough high cost stuff to actually finish the game. And again, Exile seem to be going, Dispelling Exile seem to be going quite late. So pretty easy Sagu for me here. The other option is the white Exile. Sagu just allows me to more easily fix this 4 or 5 color deck that I'm going for. And it's a dragon, so when it comes in on the orb, it's bigger. Can't believe that Roiling Dragonstorm made it this far around. Honestly insane. I would be, again, quite happy to take Tawny back or Pummeler or the Boulderhorn Dragon here because I can search up Forecaster. Roiling Dragonstorm is one of the best blue cards, period, in the set. So I'm so happy to see this. Here, I again kind of can't believe that we got Relic this late. We have been taking these 5 color like these kind of fixing cards pretty highly, so there will be less support there for other people to get into 5 color, but still this card is too good to be going this late. I think in general, somebody should have really picked up before it got to me. Not too much here. I think I take the Anchor in the end. I don't really have lots of synergy with it, but I've played it in other decks and I've been quite happy with it. A lot of low powered cards and then Sweep. Maybe we play it. Another Whisper would be totally fine. Nothing too strong. Maybe I end up in the position where I'm worried about milling, so I take the Sentinel, but realistically I'm probably going to have enough playables. Similarly with Stag, not very interested in playing this. So far we're doing pretty well with the whole base blue-green, splashing off it. We've got pretty good fixing. Looking at this pack, Thunder of Unity is, you know, it's a multicolored rare which draws cards and stuff, but the second part doesn't really fit with our plan. We're not making loads of little tokens, we're making big individual creatures. The uncommons, again, are more aggressive focused, really, apart from maybe the Initiate, but we're not supporting playing black on turn 2. So it's kind of between Blizzard or maybe the Feral here, maybe the Champion of Doosan, but again, I think that's a little bit more of an aggressive card. I don't rate Cruel Truths particularly highly. I could also take the fixing, but it feels pretty bad to take this pack, like pick one. So in the end, I believe I go with the Blizzard here. This one's pretty interesting. There's a lot of choices I can make here. Snare is a very fine removal spell. Lion Weight, as I've already mentioned, goes very nicely with Trawlers. Nomad Outpost is a way to fix some of my off splashes. And then there's the Globe. The problem we have right now is that the Forecaster only has one target, and I really want to play this Forecaster, if only just to see how it feels. So I actually go with the Globe over the Lion Weight, and I hope to wheel it. This may or may not have been correct, but as I say, this was kind of an experiment to see how good Forecaster actually is. Quite a few cards I'd be happy to have here again. Globe, Pummeler, Tawny back, Instant Monastery for fixing, probably not another Sweep, but Warden of the Grove is just, even the Boulderhorn Dragon, there's a lot here I would like. Narcissus Rebuke, yeah, I would probably take this whole pack and, you know, play like 6 of the cards, but Warden of the Grove is just too good. Pick 3, pretty damn happy to be taking this. A lot of good options. Dragon's Prey, Dispelling Exile, Sweep is fine. Been a lot of Pummelers going around, also a fixing land. I think here I take Dispelling Exile, although I'm definitely think about taking Dragon's Prey just to have more removal for things that actually make it past the counter spells. But I've got quite a lot of 3-drops already, and you know, being glutted on 3 is not really where you want to be. So I take the cheaper option here in the end. A lot of good choices again. Focus the Mind, Caustic Exhale, another Wayfarer, potential for fixing land. I could also splash the O-Ring effect, the Detainment. I believe I go with Caustic Exhale here, just to have more cheap spells I can be playing. And again, I'm feeling a little bit light on removal for things that have actually hit the table. And I didn't want to take the O-Ring because it is a 3 cost, and we already mentioned about being glutted on 3s. So I'm trying to keep my curve in mind, even if I might double spell later. Here, again, Exhale is great, but Dragon Sniper is just a very efficient 1-drop. Tough choice here. Fixing is nice, but Constrictor Stage is supposed to be pretty solid. I've not played with it too much, and I'm still a little bit confused as to whether it's, you know, more of a controlling card or more of a tempo aggressive card. An aggressive negotiation has like good 17 lands stats, but I only have so many creatures early game that I would actually be able to put counters on. 20 back also reasonable, but again, trying to avoid 3-drops. This was an interesting choice, but both Rhino and Brushmaster are like double splashes off my base colors. I think Brushmaster is a stronger card. Is it strong enough that I'm willing to play it on turn like 6, 7, or 8? Don't know. So in the end here, I think despite all the fixing that I've got, I go with Focus the Mind as like a safe option, but I think it maybe could have been Brushmaster here. I do check how many creatures I've got. I realize I've got quite a few creatures and I don't need to take it. Nothing particularly exciting here for me, so I go with the champion. The Victor is more for aggressive like Mardu decks and not really worth it otherwise, I don't think. Serpent is fine. It maybe could have been the choice, but I am looking at my lands and realizing I have none of them. Very lucky to get the Boulder Horn back. So now I have 3 targets for my Forecaster, which is lovely. Somehow got a Pummeler back. Very happy to have that. And then also somehow got a Wayfarer back. Like, that shouldn't happen. There was some very crazy wheels. If you look at 17 lands data, some of these cards are like top 5 or 6 cards in their color, and they were wheeling very late. I have a lot of cuts to make in this deck. Basically, what happens here is I like a lot of my spells so much that I end up trimming quite a few good creatures. And I also end up removing the Molten Exile because I don't want to have to play any red mana when I realize that's my only actual red card. This is where I end up in the end. You see I've got Sagu down in the 1-drops because I'm planning to use it for fixing earlier on. Actually, I do make one more cut. I think it's one of the other trawlers. Despite wanting to, you know, get Permeation back a bunch, I just really rate all of these spells. I've got 3 really good draw spells. Rolling Dragonstorm, Focus, Blizzard. Permeation is a bomb, is my biggest bomb in this deck probably. And the plan is simply I'm going to make globes, I'm going to put down one of my couple of big dragons, and then if they kill it, I'm going to Permeation it back and it will be even bigger. Or I'm going to make the dragon with the relic and ride that to victory. The deck does look a little light on endgame, and it is possible that I should be doing things like either cutting the Forecaster itself or cut a lower cost card to just have another Pummeler just to have more big stuff. But in the end, you know, this is what I go with. Mana base is okay. It's, you know, 7/7 for the main colors, and I've got 2 for each of the splashes. I need that basic plains so that I can search it up, even though I've got the Tranquil Grove. But obviously I have extra sources in the form of Relic and Dragonstorm Globe and the Wayfarer and the Sagu to find stuff, so actually it's a pretty solid mana base. So going first here, it's not amazing, but I've got 3 lands, I've got the Globe, I'll be able to cast Pummeler and Kintry off this hand. Amusingly, this is like 2 of my big splash cards in my opening hand, but they're like almost castable or actually castable, so it's totally fine. Opponents got blue-black to start. Just play my other main color. We've got Sultai stuff. Quite happy to just hit a bunch of my colors, so now I can cast basically everything in the deck. Fortunately, no 2-drop in hand. So yeah, now I've got a decision to make of trying to play around potential counterspells here. Not wanting to jam Pummeler into potential counterspell mana. I have to decide here. I've got some expensive spells, so I do really want to just hit my land drops rather than have a 2/2. But I don't think there was any pauses there, so it seems unlikely they have a counterspell in hand. And they're just drawing a bunch of cards, which is, you know, it's not great. I don't really have much in the way of pressure, but this does give me a window to jam Pummeler. And very surprisingly, they've been an Eshki, which makes me think that they've not hit red at all, and maybe they don't have that many red sources to actually find. So pretty easy to jam Pummeler here, attack, hold up my Kintry Servants. They've got their own Wayfarer. They do seem to be maybe having a little bit of trouble hitting lands. And they play Botanist. I think I actually try and Kintry the Botanist here. No, I don't. Yeah, no, I do consider doing it just to be able to attack cleanly and double spell into Focus the Mind, and then realize I can't. So I just main phase this to see if I can get anything more interesting going. Quite happy to see Exile just to have something else I can do. But yeah, I can hold up both Kintry and Exile, and then just get in with Pummeler. I don't care that much about them potentially finding lands with the Botanist. I just really want to be attacking while I've got the chance, because I'm quite threat light in this deck. I need to be attacking with Pummelers if I can get the opportunity to attack with Pummelers. Lotus Light Dancers, I could, you know, let it resolve, let it do its thing, and then Kintry it, but I think I'm just a little bit worried about what they could be searching up for value, and I'd rather just get it off the table straight away. Don't have any guys in the yard that I can Permeation back in yet, so just go ahead with Boulder Horn and hold up the removal spell. They choose not to suicide in the botanist, and they also don't play anything. So, you know, it's looking like maybe Bewildering Blizzard on their part or some kind of instant speed spell. Yeah, they've got their own Blizzard. I decided to keep this on top, I think, because I've got Perenation in my hand and I have some other juicy spells I could be getting back. What I'm thinking about here is whether I'm wanting to resolve my own Blizzard despite wasting the fog effect, just to make sure that I resolve the card draw, and in the end I do go for it here. Because I think it's more important that I don't end up too far behind on cards, because they have over 7 in their hand right now. And if they were to counterspell that, you know, if I was kind of greedy and held it up and passed and they ended up counterspelling it, I would be really far behind. Because right now I have board presence, and I've also got options here for card advantage. Yeah, they have 2 Eshki, which pretty good. Luckily for me, I didn't have to kill both of them. Luckily, I've got Kintree for this, but it does have ward 1, so I can't just do it end of turn. Impressively, they've been drawing like way more cards than I have, but despite that, they've been kind of behind on board the whole time. So yeah, unfortunately, they do manage to get a really high quality lion weight, but I happen to have Perenation. So yeah, let them dig for more lands. And the plan is quite simple. I'm going to untap Kintree, Severance, Eshki, pay the ward, and then Perenation back my dragon. And then on top of that, I'll have Trollers to get back Perenation again if I need to. So I go with the harder to cast one first, just to make sure that I get my dragon. And then I have, you know, one extra mana that I need to be able to get rid of this Eshki. I should have really played my land first, left up my 5 color mana, but you know, it's no big deal. So now I have a 5/5 flying hexproof indestructible vigilance scry 1 guy. I think they Cholo's back their Sultai card here. The Lion Weight? Yeah. But Lion Weight doesn't deal with Boulderborn Dragon. So yeah, they Lion Weight back Eshki, killed the Pummeler, but like, as long as they can't deal with Boulderborn, I don't care. Check to see what my options are, because I could pump Pummeler onto Boulderborn, which would make it a 2-turn clock instead of a 3-turn clock. But I could just do that as next turn instead. Just kind of seeing how much mana I've got for everything. So I try and dig first to see if I hit anything more interesting that I might want to Trollers back, whether I want the land or not. In this case, I'm just not particularly bothered about it being a 2/2. I'd rather just have more lands to jam. Familiar's a really nice insurance policy against random bullcrap like busted creatures or busted enchantments, so I'm quite happy to keep that on top. And then go ahead and Trollers to try and get back Perenation. And I say good game and get out of there, because they really don't want to deal with 2 of those. This hand's pretty great. We've got Wayfarer and Relic and Warden. Going second, slightly unfortunate, but you know, this is a very good start. So we open Wayfarer, and we're kind of just hoping to hit more lands. We don't care if it's a 1/1. Sadly, we get a 2/2 instead, and mill a few pretty good cards, but they missed their 3rd land drop. So now I'm just figuring out, is it better to try and play like Relic and do something else, but it's actually just better to jam Warden here. Not only is it a clock, it's a better use of my mana, and we're just kind of hoping to rip a land next turn so I can be playing Pummelers or making more mana. Pretty unfortunate, but you know, they're having a way worse time than I am. So it feels like a little bit of a non-game, unfortunately. They do get the 3rd land, they get to play Globe, and then off that they get to play Forecaster. So now I'm trying to decide what to do here. Do I hold up the counter spell, or do I jam Pummeler just to get more of a clock? Do I even try and exhale to get rid of Forecaster? But I don't have a good way of spending that mana. In the end, I choose to keep up the Familiar, so I need to have Wayfarer back for the black mana. I think it might have just been better to jam Pummeler here, and I have the Exhale for potential removal or attacks the following turn. As it is, I choose to play this so that I can get the trigger off Warden of the Grove before it dies, just so that I can keep up some pressure, and then dig for some gas. I realized that I can put Boulder Horn into the bin and then Pyronation it back. So I'd rather just do that than draw it. And then because they're kind of having to play 1/1 removal, I just go ahead and make more bodies so that it's harder for them to block. I also want to be hitting my land drops so that I can activate Relic eventually. But yes, they're very low now, so it's just get back Boulderborn. And for the second game in the row, we have a Hexproof Boulderborn. All going according to plan so far. Going first, again, great start. Got a 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, which should all be castable most likely. Pretty happy with this. Wayfarer kind of just looking, yeah, to hit off colors ideally, so take my swamp. Got Teamer colors. Embermouse is a pretty crap card, definitely if you compare it to Wayfarer, just because you have to put it on top of your deck rather than put it in your hand, but you gotta do what you gotta do if you can't get fixing. I've already got a bunch of lands, so I'm just gonna take the draw spell here, and I mean I could attack for one, but I'm assuming that that's going to be less relevant than me offering the block with a Wayfarer, so I just don't. Tony back on 3 is pretty good. And interestingly, they've been a land even though they went ahead and found one with Sentinel, so I'm not too sure what that means, whether they've just got really good cards that they like or what. Easy Pummeler on 4, nothing much else to be doing here. Hellkite on 4, they've had a very solid curve here, but luckily for me at least they didn't get to blow up a land. I decided to play Boulderborn over Sagu just to try and get the, potentially get the Surveil. It's got better stats than Sagu does, and sometimes you need to go, I might need to go digging for my planes for example, off the Sagu, so I'd rather hold it until the end. Threatening a double block on the Hellkite, but realistically if they were to swing in here with Tony back and Hellkite, I would probably either take it or maybe chump with the one. I'd maybe try and take out the Tony back, but I wouldn't risk losing my more important creatures to the Hellkite double block without any mana of my own told up. It kind of looks here like they're digging for land. They're definitely digging for something to do that pre-combat. They do get in with the Hellkite. I don't risk it. I'm a little bit too scared of losing both my creatures. And because I'll be able to hold up Bewildering Blizzard next turn, I at least have some insurance there. After a lot of thinking, the opponent flashes back the draw spell, tapping the Tawny back. I think they actually hit a forest off it and then use the fight spell. So I think they were just trying to spend their mana efficiently, but also they really wanted to hit a land drop. So unfortunately I lose my ability to double block the Hellkite, which sucks. Yeah, now I've got to make the decision, do I play Sagu to threaten the double block again, or do I just play a land, pass and hold up Counterspell and Bewildering Blizzard? In this case, yeah, I choose to just hold things up. I think that they are maybe a little bit stuck on mana, and I'm willing to, take my 4 again in the air if I need to, and just draw a bunch of cards. Surprisingly to me, they chose not to attack here. I really would have got in with the Hellkite, but it seems they were just terrified of my open mana. I could have countered Tawny back here, and that would have been totally fine, but I just really, now that they've gone sort of shields down by not attacking here, now that they've given me the extra time, I kind of just want to jam the Blizzard and get the card draw. It's also possible that I should have done Blizzard in response to Tony back in case they dug into and held up a counterspell. So I think this was it was a misplay if I was going to play Blizzard to let Tony back resolve first. I was kind of hoping they'd play Tony back and then they'd play a 2-drop and it would be, fully safe to play Blizzard, but, So I get lucky here. I get the safely resolve Blizzard. Although they did get 2 very good creatures out of it. So it's definitely a little bit awkward here that now they have Strike Master, so they can just kill Sagu, which means I really don't want to play Sagu and just let them kill Strike Master. I also don't want to play Sagu and Caustic Exhale, because then it means I'm not holding up my counter spells. Count my mana and realize that I can just play Forecaster and have up everything else. I also don't want to play Sagu to search for lands because I really need the body soon. So I just play Forecaster and say go. All a little bit awkward, but I do think that safely resolving the draw spell was very important. Unfortunately, this is a huge card advantage engine of a land. Lets you pay 4 and tap to exile the top card of your library and play it up until the end of your next turn. You know, we are trying to go long and grindy, and that is a pretty powerful option. Quite happy to get rid of this because it can break through my defenses pretty well. So I snap off the first exhale, showing Wildling. They go to bounce Pummeler, and I'm like, that's a little bit too much of a tempo loss for my taste. Unfortunately, like, they can still harmonize it later, so it's not great that I'm countering this. But, you know, I think I just don't want to get run over by these 20 backs and Hellkites. Luckily for me, they, for some reason, choose to attack now. I think they just assume surely he's out of stuff, but I'm not. So, thankfully, I get to eat this Hellkite, finally. Unfortunately, again, Strike Master is an answer to Wildling. There's not much I can do about it. I think it was too important to get rid of the Hellkite while I had a chance to do that. So I've taken the Boulderborn, but I haven't gotten either of the globes yet, so I decided to start getting these out of my deck. Sadly can't play Wildling yet, but I will play the Sniper. So now they're starting to use this land for value. I double check that it is in fact until the end of next turn, which sadly for me it is, because they have found a huge bomb in Roar of Endless Song, and I've already used my 2 counter spells, so I'm gonna have to deal with all this elephant bullcrap. Sadly, they've already got an answer to my future flyer, and those 5/5s are bigger than anything I've got going on the ground. So double check my mana. I think I've got enough here to search up and play Globe and then play something else, but I'm trying to figure out if I should be doing that or if I should just be playing Pummeler and then Wildling just to get them both out of my hand. There is also a consideration to attack him with Pummeler just to like let it die so that I can use it to grow something. Because there is the potential that they would use Strike Master to kill Pummeler with Sentinel, and I'd probably be okay with that because I just want the removal spell dead, but they do know I have Wildling in hand, so it's pretty unlikely. So yeah, I pay for Globe, get Globe, jam the Wildling. The other thing here is, so the other consideration that I did think of at the time here is they can't use Strike Master on Wildling because it costs 3, and if they use it, they won't be able to cast Roar. So I will get at least 1 attack with the Wildling. And it also gives me the out to find a removal spell. Now that I've, you know, figured out that line, I do go ahead and suicide the Pummeler, because if it dies, I will be able to grow the Wildling to 7 toughness, so it won't die to Strike Master the following turn. So they're 100% jamming Roar here, because there's no way you're not. So yeah, I could have navigated that last turn better. It's possible that they do kill the Pummeler before they realize fully what's going on, but I ended up finding out a little bit later. They get to play both Roar and another 20 back. So their board is pretty terrifying. I think there's definitely a world in which they should have been attacking a lot more, and this game might have looked quite a bit different, because I would have been forced to trade down sooner, and they might have still been like 1 guy ahead of me. But anyway, jam Pummeler, get my cheaper removal, get my cheaper counterspell, and I have a really tough choice to make here. I love Roiling Dragonstorm, but I think that Warden is a potential way to like outbeef this board eventually, so I end up keeping it. Get my 1 attack in before my dragon dies, and then I can play Warden and it is going to start growing straight away. So I don't have enough removal spells to deal with all these elephants. I need to get bigger guys. This is a savage Twin Bolt. Getting rid of my double striker and another creature that I can use to double block into the 20 backs with my 1/1 is really rough for me. I feel like at this point they should have been attacking. You know, at this point they've kind of made the decision they don't want to lose any creatures. They're just going to try and let Roar resolve and then attack in the next turn, which is understandable, but I could only kill, you know, what, 2 guys, maybe 3. So I'm looking at my options here and I just realized that, wait, I can just use familiars to destroy the Roar. Yeah, I'm so used to having it in counter target creature spell mode by default, but you know, reading the card explains the card. So begrudgingly, I do use it to destroy the Roar. Just grow the creature so I've got more double block opportunity. I'm kind of lacking good targets here. Counter spells are getting a lot worse. I could get a draw spell back, which isn't unreasonable. I definitely feel like I should be casting it just to spend my mana while I can, but I would love to be getting back, you know, Pyronation with it, and it's not here. Make another guy this time because it can trade in Tony back. Exile a creature I'm not going to bring back. And go with the big fat fog draw spell. See, I do think my opponent probably messed up by not attacking the turn before Roar went off, at least. They maybe should have been attacking sooner, but I think it is tough because if they kill a pummeler and then I just grow, say, Warden to be, you know, a 6/6 or a 7/7, they suddenly just can't attack anymore on board. So maybe not. Maybe they're also thinking they can outvalue me with their land, which isn't an unreasonable thought. You know, it's a lot of value they're getting. Digging for answers. Go ahead and snipe the trollers, which is whatever. Sage of the Fangs, like a moderate pump spell. It doesn't really change the maths dramatically, because if they put it on like an elephant, I can still kind of double block them down. They know that I have Bewildering Blizzard in my hand, so attacks get pretty awkward for them. Decking's become a real thing. They've got 12 cards and I have 9. So I'm naturally going to deck out first, and I'm also about to cast a big draw spell, so I need to be able to find a way to close this game out quickly if I'm going to do this. I still have the Pyronation, and I do have a flying creature in my bin, and I also haven't drawn the Relic yet. So I have 2, you know, proper win conditions available to me. Opponent goes to ramp, I'm like, that's fine. I'm kind of counting their lands to try and figure out how many spells versus lands they have. They've got like 3 lands in the bin, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lands I've seen. So they've got, you know, 11 cards in the deck and maybe only 3 or 4 actual spells to find. I'm in a similar spot where about half of my deck is lands, because I've got 3 in the bin and I've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 5 out of 9 of my cards are lands in my deck. So as I said, I've got Relic, Pyronation, and 2 other cards I can't remember right now. Nothing I can really do about Warden getting bounced. I've already used my counter spells, there's no point in me drawing a response. Both of us have maybe about half lands, half spells. I go ahead and use Forecaster just to see what I've got. So yeah, I've got Relic, Wayfinder, Pyronation, and Severance. Pyronation and Relic are the only ways that I'm going to win this game. If they were, say, the bottom 2 cards, it's possible that I wouldn't be able to win fast enough. I really want to hit one of them off the draw, and I don't hit them. So top 4 cards and I don't get what I need. Just replay Warden, play out a land, because I might need to do some double spelling. I still don't have any good attacks, so I've just got to wait. This is really awkward situation. I'm kind of holding up Country in case it hits a flyer that might get in my way. Removing Tony back doesn't really do anything here. They don't want to discard anything to deal 3. It's kind of surprising they don't want to kill the Warden, but I guess the cards they got were too important. Unfortunately, again, I just draw a land. I've got so few cards left in my deck now, but I still don't have a good attack. It's looking a little tough. Luckily, anything that I make is going to get pumped by 2 by the globes, because it's dragons that I'm looking to be making. Yeah, 4 cards left in the deck. I say I'm going to be making either 5/5s or 6/6s, I think it is. I can't remember how big the Relic Dragon is. Play the Skimmer, which kind of sucks, because again, that buys them a whole other turn with a flying blocker, and I'm just really aiming to clock them in the air here. Just this ground stuff is very rapidly not mattering anymore. Don't care about Agent of Coatis either. Okay, so we get the relic. Jam the relic. It does make a 4/4 dragon, so the 4/4 dragon would become a 6/6, which is a 2-turn clock. Pretty easy, just time to activate. In this case, I just go with the skimmer because it does represent another full turn. And I'm just praying they don't draw away to deal with this dragon. Go ahead and exile, and they hit the Temur strike. And unfortunately, you may realize that the elephant is 0 CMC, and it's very likely they're going to pump the elephant, which means I can't remove it with Kintree Severance, and therefore I'm not going to be able to keep this dragon alive. That is exactly what happens. I go ahead and cast it just to check, but yeah, no, illegal target. You know, post screenshots to complain to my friends on Discord, as you do. I do gain a bunch of life, at least this creature has lifelink, so I'm considering potential alpha strikes here in the future. There still isn't really any kind of good attack going on. So now I have, I think it's 2 blanks and Purination. Yeah, I have 2 cards left in the deck. So I've got Purination now, and I'm thinking, do I get back the dragons, or do I actually have so much mana that it's better for me to get back Relic? I think the answer is that after I count my mana, I've got enough to do both. So I can Purination, get back Relic, and activate Relic. That makes a faster clock. Because the problem is, if I Purination back a 3/3, it becomes a 5/5. And that is only a 2-turn clock, which isn't fast enough. So I need to use Relic here because it will make a fast enough clock. Even though the Reliquary Dragon itself will not have hexproof, which sucks, I don't think I win if I play another way. So I just have to do this and pray that they don't have the removal spell. Again, they're digging. I'm nervously fidgeting with the map. And then thankfully for me, they concede. That was a really long game. So next game here, great opening hand. Would prefer to be on the play with Exhale, but you know, I'm just happy to have all of these cards, lots of card draw and fixing and ramp and everything. It's all lovely. They ult 6. And they go Forecaster. We have a worthy opponent here. Great top deck. Having Sniper out straight away is awesome. They go ahead and play tap line game 1. You know, I'd love to be able to hold up counter spells and stuff, but I need to hit my land drops, so I think I just choose to Tarkir Dragonstorm after this attack. Way too important that I hit my 3 and then 4 land drop. So pretty happy with this. Again, hitting land drops is very important here. Next turn, you know, I probably want to play Warden, or you know, I like everything that's in my hand too much, and Pummeler has some extra value. So yeah, the next turn I can either play Warden or Globe, or tap land, hold up Exhale, depending on what happens. I've got options. I was pretty surprised to see Rescue Leopard here. It's not the kind of card you really want to be playing in 5 color. It's more of like an aggressive card, and it's like a pretty low value one. So I think for a bit, and I go, although I'd love to play Globe and like get ramping and start double spelling, the plan here is to play Warden. So I could have chosen to trade Sniper here, but because I have Sibzig Appraiser and I'm planning to run it out pretty soon, I'm willing to get a little bit greedy, because I'm expecting, you know, they've got Dragonstorm Forecaster. I'm expecting like greedy 5-color deck, bunch of dragons. I think Dragon Sniper can do better than a Rescue Leopard here. So I'm willing to take a little bit of damage for now. And there's their Globe. So I've got an untapped land, which means now I can double spell, so I can play Globe and I can hold up my counterspell. Don't have a dragon, sadly, but it's no big deal. They actually pump fake with the leopard and decide instead to use it for harmonize, which is fine. I can't counter the draw spell. I'm not sure I would anyway here because I'd rather catch an actual creature because I've got a decent clock on board right now. Go Heirloom, which I can't counter. I wouldn't want to anyway. However, Hellkite, I will happily counter. And then they just give up, which I think was a little bit premature probably. Even if they had a bunch of lands, they could have, you know, threatened to draw with the leopard and kept playing for a bit. But, you know, they were out. Countering someone's dragon is a good way to make them pretty sad. Okay, opponent goes first. Happy to keep this just because I have Roiling Dragonstorm and 3 lands. Like, yeah, I can't cast stuff for a while, but Roiling Dragonstorm is that good, it will just fix most of your problems. And even if I draw, you know, if I don't get anything for a while, eventually I'll be able to cast Building Blizzard. I really do want a green source though, ideally, but hey. Playing the greedy deck, sometimes you have to keep the greedy hands. Again, I really don't rate Bellringer at all. I think it's pretty terrible. Yes, I like to hold up Exhale, but you really do want to clock when you're holding up counter spells just in case they just pass back to you. So Warden's amazing on 3, and if it sticks, then, you know, you can easily run away with the game. Trollers for no value is stinking. Absolutely stinking. Like that, it just shows that they're desperate. Like, utterly desperate. Can't attack in, just let my guy grow and hold up Exhale. Doesn't look like they got their land because they haven't just jammed it. I could counter this, but I decided to hold it for a real threat, even though I know they're digging for lands. They just didn't get there, and they were, again, sick of it. So, you know, once again, could have threatened a double block, could have gotten another draw or two, but welcome to Dragonstorm, where you either hit your fixing or you don't. This one's a little bit too cute. So, you know, you see Relic and you're like, oh, that fixes for any color, but I have no creatures that I can play for it. Yes, Dragonstorm and Appraiser are great, but I have no blue. If this was a 1 island, 1 forest, this would be a snap keep. I would just play Dragonstorm and I would just get lands, play Appraiser, get more lands, play Relic, cast whatever the hell I want. But I decided to be disciplined here, mulligan this. And I've got a way better hand here. I don't have any spells, so I decided to put back the tracker. It's maybe you could get a little bit greedy and bin one of the forests maybe here, but I do need to get to 7, 8, 9 mana and stuff, so it's not a problem if I have extra lands. Turn 2 Jeskai Monument. I'm just jamming Wayfarer and hoping to see stuff. There is an argument. I am deciding if I should take the land or not here, but again, I make the decision that I really do want to hit my land drops, and I don't have the kind of aggressive curve where making my guy a 2/2 and riding it all the way is probably going to make a difference. Kind of deciding here between playing Wayfarer or playing Globe. I decide to just be mana efficient. Next turn, you know, I can either hold up Familiar or play Pummeler, or maybe I'll draw something relevant that I can double spell with Wayfarer. I get rewarded pretty heavily by drawing Warden. And I also get an off-color land. Surprisingly to me, they trade the bird off. I don't think that's normally worth it, but they evidently think that they have a good late game hand and they're just trying to survive. They do a bit of digging with Whisper and cast another Jeskai Monument. I'm pretty happy. I've got a clock that just keeps growing, and I've got a nice little counter spell in my hand. I could jam Pummeler here. I think I actually do it in the end. It's a tough choice. It's such a big clock here, and I decided to make an extra body because I think they're kind of most likely to be casting 1-for-1 removal. This is a little risky, but I am worried that they've got so many cards in their hand that I need to like put in a real clock and maybe try and kill them before they cast all of them. Flamehold Grappler is pretty terrifying. And yeah, so I get pretty badly punished for this play because they get to double O-ring me and I can't do anything about it. So they get rid of both the Pummeler and the Warden. It's about the worst thing that could have happened to me for, you know, for not holding out Familiar here. And as such, I just decided that I've got nothing going on here, and a 1/1 is not a good enough of a clock against this hand that they've got. So I decide that I need to Familiar and blow up one of the O-rings just to get board presence back. And at this point, I'm just kind of crossing my fingers that making a good board presence is gonna, you know, is gonna do it. So now I'm in a really bad spot. If I'd hit the counterspell there, I would have been, yeah. And I also now don't have Familiar for Storm Shell, so things are really unpleasant. I can't attack now, and they've not only got more card advantage than me, they're going to get more card advantage than me. But if they do attack with the Storm Shell and draw, they don't really have much of a board presence to block with, so that's something. And you know, maybe they're going to deck themselves. They've already drawn more cards than me, and they're about to draw even more. River Wheel Sweep also exiles top 2 cards of the library. You get another land. And then here comes the turtle. I do think about it for a bit, but I chump just to preserve my life total, because if they start making big flyers and stuff, I don't have an answer at the moment. And the 1/1 doesn't attack in any profitable way at the moment. More lands for me, unfortunately, but now I can at least start attacking. We go ahead and take it. I'm just going to keep playing stuff out. I've drawn 10 lands. I've got 7 left out of my 20 cards in deck. They get a nasty 2-for-1 on me. I do kind of need the Glow for Vixen, but I also need to pump my guys, so a bit unfortunate in both ways. And then they get a nice big 6/5 Menace. More lands for me, unfortunately. I should have probably attacked. I mean, it's tough. I see the Warden is too important to try and trade off for the Master, because I'm kind of screwed without it. So I'm willing to just sit on it and hope that it grows so big that nothing else on the board could deal with it. Or I can start swinging with it when it's like a 7/7. It's tough. Maybe I should have attacked with it there and offered the trade up with the Master. Don't know. Unfortunately for me here, they get Monastery Messenger, put their Oblivion Ring that I destroyed back on top. I did think about destroying the token earlier, but the Warden of the Grove is just so much better than the Pummeler that I think I had to make that choice. And now they draw, get it back, cast it, and ruin my board. Forget that I can't block the guy with Menace, have to settle for the token. Things are not looking good. Dragonstorm off the top is great, especially with the land to bin. Would love to be able to draw a spell and play a guy, but I think I have to settle for just playing out my guy here. Does get back Dragonstorm, which is nice. So things are not great, but I am winning in the air, and there's the other O-ring. So they've got to O-ring 4 things with 2 cards that they've cast 3 times, basically. And yeah, pretty brutal. They keep drawing. They've got 11 cards in deck now, but it's not going to matter. Dragonstorm. Play out everything that I can in the hope that I can survive just a little bit longer. And then they play another Oblivion Ring. and another removal spell. You'll see that I am, you know, whenever the screen freezes, it's because I'm screenshotting it and sending it to my friends to complain. Yeah. 5 Oblivion Ring effect. 5 Oblivion Rings cast, all 3 Oblivion Rings. That was enough. That was enough to do it for my pretty threat light deck, especially when I didn't actually draw Relic at any point. So, a bit unfortunate. Another pretty decent opening hand. Don't really have much going on. Just got a load of draw spells, but I am going first. So, again, if you can cast Rolling Dragonstorm on 2, you're probably keeping that hand. A fellow blue-green enjoyer. Very happy to see Warden. Great 3. Very happy to jam that on 3. Can't remember what I've been here. Okay, yeah, I go with Focus because I really want to have Trawlers available later on. It's probably between Trawlers or Focus. Blizzard is just more card advantage. Sagu will help me fix if I need it. A little bit sad to see Warden not go off here. But, you know, they needed a very specific answer for it. I mess up here. So I was thinking, you know, I want black for Familiar, and then I want to play Wayfarer, and then I realize I only have one green source. So this is just a straight up mistake. I should have either gone for Sagu into Forest, play Wayfarer, or just play Wayfarer first. This does like guarantee I get familiar mana, but it does dig any less cards, which is a little bit awkward. Because now I also can't play Wayfarer because I don't have the green and I need it for familiar, so it's all kind of awkward. So instead what I decide to do is, instead of like holding up familiar to counterspell something, I just get rid of the fresh start so that I can start regrowing the Warden. They get their red source, so looking like pretty traditional teamer stuff. Get the removal for the snake. Kind of surprising they kill the snake here over the Warden. Don't really understand that one. But then they play fresh start again. So I guess maybe they're less scared of Warden coming back from the graveyard. I don't know, I probably would have killed Warden instead. Play my land. I just want to cast Bewildering Blizzard over Wayfarer here for sure. I don't have a good... I mean, I could Exile Snake, get back Way with Trawlers, but I think I can do better than that. I'm just going to jam Blizzard and hope they don't have the counterspell. I could have waited, you know, taken the 4, waited to see if they cast something big, try and get around any counterspell mana, but I just decided to get a bit greedy there. A lot of choices here. Definitely would quite like to get out the Boulderborn just to have a clock. Choose to decline here because I think I've got enough lands and another Wayfarer here. Oh yeah, that was it. My plan was to threaten double blocks basically on Tony back. Yeah, I'm not sure how good this play was. I think I was just gonna... Yeah, for some reason, yeah, they don't attack because I've threatened the double block. And I was kind of like, oh, I'm maybe going to Kindred Severance and start attacking for 4. But then I didn't play Boulderhorn. It was pretty awkward. I definitely should have played Boulderhorn last turn. Probably getting a little bit too cute with trying to play around counter spells and such. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit too cute here. Trying to play around counter spells and you know, just doing it in the wrong order. And if I wanted Boulderhorn to resolve, I should have played it beforehand. And yeah, but they just didn't have anything. They just, I don't know, too many lands, too many irrelevant things. But yeah, the last couple of turns are a little bit awkward. Wayfarer, Relic, great combo. I've got Sagu as well. This is the kind of reason, these are why these green cards are so good. I can get my island, and then I can either do Wayfarer or Dragonstorm, depending. And I'm just very, very happy with how things are starting. So yeah, we go Wayfarer because next turn we can do Relic into Dragonstorm, for example. Take more lands because I, you know, am in danger of not hitting them. And they do allow me to have stuff to pitch to Dragonstorm as well. Jam the green because we might need... It doesn't really matter which we play here. And then we're just gonna get the Dragonstorm out. Bin the green in this case. So next turn we have access to 5, or we have access to 3 and 3. They've played their 3 land, they haven't missed any, but we just have an extra one over them. It's pretty tough to decide what to play here. I think in the end I go for Pummeler, because again it's a pretty good beat stick, and if they kill it, then at least it's something that I can use later from the graveyard. And having something in the graveyard that I can Pyronation is great. Yes, I do want to get more lands for Relic, so it's possible that just going like Sagu, get a land, you know, play Globe is just the better choice, but this is kind of the in the middle option. You know, I could have tapped Sagu there to use, I could have tapped Pummeler there to search with Wildling. Maybe it's correct, because then I've definitely got 6 mana the next turn, but don't know. So now we just choose to get rid of this so that we can attack through. And then, yeah, we do end up seeking for the land because we want to keep hitting our land drops. Find the off color so we can use Perenation in case Relic gets destroyed. Play the Globe. Get for 5. We still don't have anything to bin to Perenation. But we are close to activating Relic. It's 8 total and we have 7 right now. So if we rip an untapped land, we can use Relic. And they realize that and destroy it. And make sure that CDC doesn't have Death Touch. Luckily it doesn't. Now I have the combo. So Perenation, get back Relic. So I can definitely activate it next time. And then I have Trawlers available to get back Perenation. So good luck dealing with all this value. They got Jcast Sentinel, which is just the perfect size to block my Pummeler, unfortunately. And then it's a 2/6 as well, just to make sure it can deal with what would have been a 5/5 dragon. So it's actually a really awkward size. So I get them with Pummeler. I'm hoping that they block so I can get rid of it. And they do. So I go ahead and activate Relic. And deal the remaining 3 to the Jcast Sentinel. And extra value I get by my Dragonstorm. Now I know that they can get back the Jcast Sentinel with Awaken the Undead, but it won't be 6 toughness. So that's fine if they want to spend their turn doing that and then have it die. I don't mind that. Doing a bit of digging, hoping for an answer to this dragon. And unfortunately they've got the River Walk technique. So although I've got Pummeler, which is great, a little bit behind where I want to be. Probably shouldn't have attacked with the Wayfarer, but I guess I was like, whatever. If the Pummeler hits, then that's great. I'm going to play Dragonstorm because I can afford to do Trawlers and Exhale. I actually just want to like hit my land drop so that I can double spell really badly, so I'm going to bin Wayfarer in this case. Also a little bit worried about milling some relevant threats. To get back my Perenation, and I've got Exhale up. There goes the Jcast Sentinel. Unfortunately I can't counterspell it, even though that's kind of annoying. So here, yeah, I could Perenation back the Relic, and I'm just trying to decide if I want to do that or I want to Bewildering Blizzard. But this does at least leave open enough mana to play around a non-dragon Exhale. Go ahead and just get in with the team. Could start to do some pretty cute stuff like Perenation back Trawlers. Use Trawlers to get back Perenation. But yeah, I just decided to go for it again, get the Relic back. Second time Perenationing Dragon's Relic in the same game. I can't counter it, also really don't care about it. I'm just all about the attacking in the air life at the moment. I get pretty done in by the arena tap here, because I really want to leave up Exhale, and I would have quite happily tapped my 3/2, but I screwed up. Yeah, I got lazy. I needed to automatically tap the Trawlers here. I thought I'd maybe get a check to do it, but because I had enough mana, it just let me do it. Deciding here if I should kill a 2/2 or go face. Not 100% sure which is right, but again, I don't really care about them attacking on the ground with the 2/2s, and I just decided to go face here. So I'm just praying that they don't kill my dragon for the second time, because then it might be really awkward to actually win the game. They lion weight back to kill my 3/2. play their Death Touch guy. I'm like, that's fine. And then Piercing XL, which I could have countered. So yeah, I would have been able to save my dragon and just win the spot there. No joy. So I gotta go about it the hard way. So open with Dragonstorm. Bin a land. So now I can go Boulderborn, hold up Counterspell, and get back Dragonstorm just in case. Just in case I need it. I don't feel like suiciding Pummeler in, even though, yeah, it could grow the Boulderborn. The awkward part right now is obviously that, like, Jadecast is big enough to block Boulderborn, and I don't have a way to cleanly remove it. So it is possible that I should have suicided in Pummeler just to, like, set that up next turn. Now, they screwed up by not tapping their artifact to cast Wildling, so now they only have 3 mana available for Exhale. However, Wildling isn't bigger than Boulderborn, so I don't care, and if they go to double block, I've got Bewildering Blizzard. It looks like they've set themselves up to double block, so I'm quite happy to let them run into their own trap. At this point, I'm also happy to let Pummeler die to double blocks or Death Touch, because I do want to grow Boulderborn big enough to kill Jadecast Sentinel. So yeah, they go for the double block, they go for the Death Touch on the Pummeler, as well as the extra blocks with the tokens, and they get absolutely ruined by Blizzard. I now also have access to Kin Tree for the Sentinel, so go ahead and get the Sagu dead, and go ahead and make sure that the Death Toucher dies. So, amazing combat. Very happy. 4 mana, I'll have 5 if I play a land, which means I can hold up Exhale and the removal spell, which just keeps things nice and safe. It's possible that I should be jamming a creature and then holding up Counterspell instead of like holding up both removal spells. I'm just so far ahead on board that I decide I should just hold up options to not get cheesed out. I decide that, honestly, although I could counter this, these creatures don't do anything, so I don't care. And it's fine if they resolve it. You know, I'm only worried about something like the Sultai Wrath that kills all creatures or whatever. That's a pretty big annoying creature. So it does stop my Pummeler from attacking, which makes me tempted to counterspell it. And again, they screwed up by not using the heirloom mana. If they use the heirloom mana, I can't counterspell the turtle. They just made the Devotee, which is fine. And then Sidisi, which is not a great card. They also just don't have good targets in the bin, really. No, I mean, now they could go ahead and sack Jadecast to get Turtle, but we're not going to let them get that far. Unfortunately, my Pummeler never died, so I can't grow Boulderborn to be lethal, but it's fine. Now there's no annoying reach creature. Drawing Fankeepers is great. Nice insurance. Let's play the flyer so that I've got another flying threat. And I've got perfect mana to hold up Fankeepers, so everything is good. Actually would have been pretty great if they did use the Sultai Wrath and I could just flash on the snake for lethal. That would have felt pretty good. Go to Exhale. Can't do anything about it, but it doesn't matter because they're dead on board. And then they give up. Yeah. 7 wins, 1 loss. Looking back at the deck, it was definitely a little bit close to the wire. You know, those longer games, I was like 1 threat away from decking out and losing. Sure, I would have liked more bombs, and I probably would have liked that 1 extra Trollers, because the other Troller could have allowed me to get back Perenation again, and that probably would have been good enough. But you really saw the strength of the deck. It was extremely consistent with fixing and drawing, and Dispelling Exhales really showed off their power here. Relic and Perenation were great bombs. Pummeler was just a solid role player. So yeah, this is maybe a lower power version of this deck. You know, it's only like 4 colors, not real 5 colors, and it only has, you know, 2 or 3 proper bombs, but everything just worked really well. I can see why people are forcing Dragonstorm Globes and Forecasters, and unfortunately you know, I'm probably going to be a bit more open to doing it myself now. So yeah, if you found this helpful, please subscribe. I'll try and do this in future. Don't know if I'll be able to do them live. I play a lot worse when I'm trying to do commentary. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.